can't fight wars or build roads or enforce laws without money. And yet, under the Articles of Confederation, America tried. And in Federalist number 30, Alexander Hamilton begins his defense of a rather simple but revolutionary truth. A government without the power to tax cannot protect the people or itself. I'm Matt Haskell, I'm a high school history teacher, and we're taking a trip through the Federalist Papers, all 85 of them, and we've made our way to number 30. Now, by 1787, the young United States was nearly bankrupt, and Congress could ask the states for funds, but not require the states to provide them. Requisitions went unpaid, soldiers went unfed, creditors were also unpaid, and Hamilton calls this a system of voluntary compliance, an experiment in political absurdity. Hamilton argued that the Constitution must fix that by granting the new government real financial power. And Hamilton's central principle is pretty straightforward, and he writes, money is, without propriety, considered as the vital principle of the body politic. Just as blood, sustains life, money sustains government. And without the ability to raise revenue, the Union will collapse. Not from invasion here. Instead, it'll collapse due to insolvency. Hamilton's going to insist that a free people must choose, either trust their government with power or lose both government and liberty through weakness. So Hamilton's going to remind the readers that under the Articles, Congress depended on state quotas, which was essentially voluntary donations to the national treasury. And when states refused to pay, well, then the system froze up. And he writes that such a model betrays an ignorance of human nature. And that's basically, it means he's saying people and states are going to act in their own interest. A functioning nation needs lawful obligation, not polite requests. So the Constitution is going to correct that, making taxation a national power, not a state favor. So Hamilton does recognize the fact that taxation is unpopular and that no one likes giving up their earnings, but he's going to argue that taxation isn't about punishment, it's actually about preservation. If a government can't collect taxes, it can't defend the nation, it can't regulate commerce, it can't maintain justice. So without taxes, liberty becomes a theory, not a reality. And he calls this the inseparable connection between the means and the end. So Hamilton will go on to warn against setting fixed limits on federal revenue. Emergencies like wars, disasters, or economic collapse can't be predicted. And once again, he writes, every power ought to be commensurate with its object. And if the object is national survival, then the power to tax must be flexible enough to meet any crisis. So he's not defending tyranny, he's defending responsibility. Hamilton knows what his critics are thinking, right? If we give the federal government the power to the tax, won't it destroy the states? And Hamilton's answer in the essay is no, because both levels of government serve the same people. Their interests are intertwined. They are not opposed. So he'll write that the states and federal government are constituent parts of the whole, and that public confidence, not suspicion, must bind them together. So Hamilton does point out that taxation, like any power, is naturally limited by political reality. Excessive taxes would spark outrage and resistance. The people themselves are the ultimate check. But representatives are chosen by taxpayers. They have every incentive to tax wisely, wisely, and sparingly. So public accountability, not rigid laws, will keep the system fair. Now, Hamilton's logic, his chain of reasoning, so to speak. So government can't function without money. The Articles failed because they relied on voluntary contributions. The Constitution grants lawful national taxing power. Power must be unlimited in scope, but accountable in use. And the people's voice, through their representatives, remains the safeguard. There you go. There's your summation of Federalist 30. Now, Hamilton's moral argument here is that, it's moral as much as it is practical. because he believes that a republic must pay its debts and keep its promises, not just to creditors, but also to the citizens. Because to borrow without the means to repay, or to govern without the means to protect, is to rule by illusion. So fiscal honesty is the foundation of national dignity. So why do Hamilton's words matter? Do they apply to today? Well, they do echo across every budget debate in American history. And Hamilton saw financial credibility as a form of freedom, because dependence is a form of weakness. He reminds us that the first duty of self-government is self-support. A government that can't fund itself must beg, and beggars don't stay free for long. So, our takeaways today. A government without revenue is a government without power. The Constitution the Constitution and its taxing authority makes national survival possible. And public accountability, not distrust, is the best limit on taxation. So, Federalist number 30 is Hamilton's call for maturity in politics. He's reminding Americans that independence isn't just won on battlefields, it's maintained in budgets. Freedom that refuses to pay for itself will not endure. And so the Constitution's taxing power is not a threat, it's a promise that the people's government can sustain the people's liberty. So I'm Matt Hasquin, and this is one of those things you should know by being alive. If this one helped you see why fiscal power is also moral power, share it, follow it. Stay tuned, because I'm coming up with number 31 here soon. And this is where Hamilton explains how reason, math, and natural law guide the limits of taxation itself. Thanks for watching.